Hello, 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 ATL sports fans. How are you guys doing? Hello for the Falcons. Hello for the Braves. Hello for the Hawks. Hello for Atlanta United. And hello for the Dogs. How's everybody doing? Hopefully, everybody is doing well. Well, today is July 30th. It's about 4 minutes before 7:15, and we are here today to talk about the Braves trade deadline and the action taken, or in this case, lack thereof. Um, so here we go. The Braves traded last night for Jorge Soler. Jorge Soler was with us in 2021. As a matter of fact, he was the World Series MVP, so that's a good thing. They also traded for Luke Jackson, who was a reliever. Luke is not necessarily having a great year this year, but again, maybe a change of scenery will help him. And I just got a few items that I want to cover today. Now, a lot of Braves fans and a lot of you guys were looking for the Braves to really go out and maybe get another infielder. As you know, Ozzy Albies is injured right now. He will not be back for another 7 weeks now, is what it looks like. Michael Harris is injured, and our offense has not been what it was last year. And so a lot of you were looking for moves to be made where we added another bat, whether that was an infielder that could play outfield or just a straight up outfielder or another infielder. But the Braves chose to do none of that. Now, before we get into it, a couple of things you need to know. The Braves did make moves prior to today. Okay. They traded for Eddie Rosario probably about a month, maybe a month and a half ago. It hasn't yielded much returns. Eddie is a clutch guy and will always go down in Braves history as a hero, National League, or I'm sorry, NLCS MVP. But just, this year hasn't been his year. He's hitting below 200. Not really yielding much returns on that one, but he is a left handed bat. Um, the day after Ozzy got hurt, they went out and signed Whit Merrifield. And wouldn't you know it, the next day, the first day he shows up, he breaks his finger or injures it so bad he can't throw. So I believe he has stitches in the finger now, and we're looking for him to come back next week. So that's Rosario, that's Whit Merrifield. And again, last night we traded for Jorge Soler and Luke Jackson. So on the surface, they're really not big, sexy moves, right? I mean, there was Kevin Pillar, there was the center fielder for the White Sox, who's a really good one. There was Garrett Crochet, the pitcher for the White Sox. There were a lot of folks who, Braves fans were looking at, but the Braves chose not to go with that. And they chose for a couple of reasons. And to be honest with you, I really can't be mad at that. Number one, the Braves have the fifth highest payroll in the league. I'm going to say that again. Fifth highest in the league. And Wallace, how you doing? Jared Talks, how you doing? Hey, good to see you guys tonight. Glad to have you. Glad you guys decided to join me. We're talking Braves tonight. There you go. So again, Braves are right at well, they were fifth in the league in salary, and that was before adding Jorge Soler. Now, next year, this year they owe him 2.5 million. Next year, I think it's going to be 13 million. Year after that, 13 million. So they do have him for multiple years, but again, under the salary structure, you have but so much that you can go to, and there are three thresholds. The Braves are at the second threshold right now, right? And they're teetering just under the third, which is one of the reasons they decided not to trade for anybody, right? So you got it. Baseball is a little different. It doesn't have a salary cap, but there are penalties the higher you go, right? So the first threshold, when everyone that you sign, I believe your total payroll, you pay maybe a certain percentage over. And the second threshold, it gets higher. And the third threshold, it gets higher. So they didn't want to get into the third threshold, which is another reason they didn't make the moves. Now, A follow-up to that is that number one, or number two rather, I'm sorry. The Braves at this point were kind of desperate. Everybody knew that they had injuries, right? So Spencer Strider's out. Ronald Acuna is out. What's up, Lorenzo Leon? How you doing? Hopefully all is well. Jared Talks. Hey man, good to see you. Wallace. Hey man, good to see you. And I did go and get some more of those Snickers, Wallace. So I do love that, man. But no, the Braves right now are at the second threshold. They don't want to go to the third. That's number one. Number two, they don't have a great farm system. Okay, because most of their guys are up here. You know what I mean? They drafted well, they trained these guys well, they developed these guys well, and they're here now. So most of their talent um in the minor leagues is I wouldn't call it premium. I would not call it premium talent. Okay. There are some guys, Nacho Alvarez, who is not hitting in the major leagues. He came up to replace Ozzy, but I would say he is probably in our top 10 prospects. The other guys that probably we could have traded, we may need to finish the season, right? So you got AJ Smith Shawver, who's a great pitcher, again in the minor leagues, throws gas, has some other pitches that he can throw, can work it in and out. But you may need this guy later because Freed went on the disabled list. He's coming off soon, but it's still forearm, right? And a forearm for a pitcher is like a knee for a receiver. When you hear it, it's just bad, right? Ronaldo Lopez also had a forearm issue. Now, there was no structural damage for any of these guys, right? Which is a good thing. That is a good thing. But the problem is, Ronaldo Lopez was a reliever prior to this year, right? So I think last year he threw 50. He's at 50 right now. In order to finish the rest of the season, he may get to 100. That's stress on that arm, that's stress on that elbow. So the guys that you may have had to trade, you're going to need. You got your AJ Smith Shawvers, your Hurston Waltrip, and your Schwellenbacher. I think that's his name. Anyway, those three guys, you're probably going to count on them to finish the season. So you could not trade them, right? You couldn't trade them. So that's how we arrive at, okay, well, if you can't trade, then what are you going to do, right? The reason we were able to trade for Jorge Soler is because that was basically a salary dump from San Francisco, and I think he wanted out of there, and we just took advantage of it. I do not think that this is necessarily a bad thing for the Braves. I don't think that all is lost. Now, we will need to be a little lucky. I'm not going to lie. A lot of teams made a lot of moves today, and a lot of teams collectively got a lot better. They really did. But if we can get a little lucky, meaning if Freed and Lopez can stay healthy, then you essentially have 3 or 4 guys going into the playoffs, right? AJ Smith Shawver's coming off I think he is off of the injured list. Hurston Waltrip is off the injured list. I think Hurston Waltrip can throw in the triple digits. Has a high velocity arm. AJ has a high velocity arm. And Schwellenbach is pretty good. So between the three of them and the pitchers that we have, you're pretty well covered as far as a pitching rotation is concerned. All right. Lest we not forget, we got Ozzy Albies coming back in about 7 weeks, and we have Michael Harris coming back probably August 14th or so. Michael Harris had a grade 2 hamstring pull or strain, whatever you want to call it. And so he's been on there. What up? Yeah, I know, Jack. The Braves need to sign you. I know. I get it. I understand. Guys, I'm gonna do something I normally don't do here, and I'm gonna bring. What's up, Ernest? How you doing, man? Hope all is well. I'm gonna throw the. I'm gonna throw the room for the meeting, the information for the chat, and if you guys want to hop on and talk Braves with me, you can do that. So give me 1 sec. Let me grab this here. And guess what? Anybody? That's right, Ernest. I'm glad to see Soler back. Anybody wants to jump in? Go ahead and jump in. What up, Chase? How you doing, man? Hope all is well. Chase from DFU, and obviously Mr. Jack Spade from One Time for the Fan is on here tonight. We are happy to have him. I'm Mr. Ernest, glad to see you. And Jarek and Lorenzo, glad to see you too. And like I say, man, you guys want to hop on? Hey, feel free. I think I can take up to 10 at a time, but you want to hop on and talk Braves? Let's do it. Anyway, so here's where we are, guys. Ozzy's coming back maybe 8 weeks. Michael Harris, basically the same time, right? So you have Harris back. You'll have Ozzy back. You got Soler. You got a lineup, right? Matt Olson seems to be coming around, right? I don't know what Jack is saying pause about, but whatever. We'll put that on the screen here. I don't know what Jack's talking about, but okay, whatever. Anyway, um, oh, Jack is saying he throws the slider, not the curveball. Okay, I got you. I got you. That's your wipeout pitch, Jack. Is that what it is? I don't have a whistle to blow, Jack, but you know what? Hey, man, whoever did it, he's out of there. We're talking baseball today, Jack. I don't have a whistle. Anyway, so look, in about 2 months, guys, we're gonna have our full lineup. And once we get our full lineup, anything can happen. Okay. Our pitching this year, knock on wood, has been decent. Okay. It's been really good. It's the only reason we currently sit 7 games above 500 because our hitting has been terrible. All right. So look, we get our guys back, you know, August. And until then, yeah, we got to tread water. Okay. Do I think we're going to win the National League East? No, I don't. I don't. Um, I don't. I really don't. I think the best we can do right now is the wild card. Hey, if it happens, that's great. And honestly, if we win the wild card, it may not be the worst thing, right? Look, the number 6 seed from the wild card in baseball has made it to the World Series the last 3 years. That's right, the last 3 years. So you win because here's why: you win your division, and you're rewarded with sitting for a week, right? Sitting for a week. And sitting for a week is not like it is in basketball and football, and no disrespect to them. But quite candidly, baseball is timing, right? Baseball is, hey, you throw this pitch, I got point 0.3, 0.4 seconds to identify whether this is a splitter, fastball, curveball, and act appropriately. And everything is timing and everything is routine. You sit for 5 days, you just don't have it, which is why for the last couple of years, the Braves have lost to the Phillies. So it's not necessarily a bad thing, right? It's not necessarily a bad thing if we win the wild card and if we have to go into the playoffs running hot. You know what I mean? That's not necessarily a bad thing. So I'm not opposed to that. I just want to get in, right? Um, so let's look at our current roster and what we have. And then we can look at where I think we're going to go. So give me one sec. All right, guys. So here is our current roster. We've got 13 pitchers. Yeah, Aaron Bummer, Jesse Chavez, Grant Holmes, Raciel. You guys can read. Matt Olson, Austin Riley, Orlando Arcia, Nacho Alvarez, Ozuna, Murphy, D'Arnaud, Whit Merrifield, Jared Kelnick, Ramon Laureano, Adam Duvall, Rosario, Luke Williams. Right. So when we interject Soler into this, who's going to go? Well, obviously for me, it's Luke Williams. Luke Williams is probably the odd man out here. So when we do get Soler, and I think, hey Chris, how's it going? Hey Chris, I want you to hop on, buddy, if you get a chance. Um, anyway, Luke Williams is probably gonna go, right? I mean, he's obviously got options. The question is gonna be, when Michael Harris gets back, where are you going? Right? And I think it's going to be between Duvall and Laureano. Because Eddie Rosario, even though he's hitting terrible, he will run into a home run every now and he's a lefty, and you need a lefty coming off the bench. So I think once Michael Harris comes back, Eddie's safe. Now I could be wrong, okay? Because again, with Harris and with Kelnick, you already have lefties, right? But for now, Eddie Rosario would be your only lefty coming off the bench. So the way I think it's going to look is it's going to be Soler, obviously Harris. You're going to lose Luke Williams. You're probably going to lose either Adam Duvall or Ramon Laureano. And when Ozzie comes back, Nacho Alvarez will probably go down to the minor leagues. And when all of that happens, you're going to be at full strength. Pitching, that's the Braves kind of rotate guys in and out. So the good thing about having a lot of these guys in the minors, specifically AJ Smith-Shawver, Hurston Waltrip, is you can move these guys up and down, right? So what do I mean when I say you can move these guys up and down? All right, so let's say, I don't know, you wanted to move, I don't know, let's say you wanted to move Whit Merrifield down, okay? Whit Merrifield is on a major league contract. He's been in the league, I think, 10 years. He can, if you designate him for assignment, which means he's not performing, and you send him to the minors, he can opt out of that. He can opt not to go, and another team can sign him, and you're just out. You just lost a player. There's nothing you can do. Versus if you've got a minor leaguer that has options, you can send them up and down all the live long day, right? Until they run out of those options. And that's typically maybe within their fourth or fifth year. I don't know the exact rules, but you have some time to play with, which is why you will see the Braves bring up Elder, send down Elder, bring up AJ, send down LJ, bring up Hurston, send down Hurston. Because once they get past a certain threshold, they got to stay up here, right? So that's the advantage of that. So the pitching roster will probably change. That's a fluid thing. I mean, guys that are here and not going down, Aaron Bummer, Raciel Iglesias, Joe Jimenez, Pierce Johnson, Ronaldo Lopez, Charlie Morton, Chris Sale. Darius Vines has options, and I believe Spencer Schwellenbach has options. Now, when Fried and Lopez come back, they don't have options, so you wouldn't send them down, right? So I'm just kind of trying to give you guys a picture. But anyway, I think the Braves will be okay. I think we do have the wherewithal to make the playoffs, but we just can't stand any more injuries. Okay, guys, we lost Acuna. We lost Spencer Strider. Understand, if we had Acuna and Spencer Strider, along with what we got right now, guys, we'd be dominating. Definitely dominating. So, there's been a certain element of just unluckiness or bad luck to this entire year. If you look at who we have on the injured list right now, we've got Acuna, we've got Spencer Strider, we've got Ozzie, we've got Michael Harris. Matzik is on the injured list. One other guy I can't think of. Austin was on it earlier. But Sean Murphy was on it from the first game, I think for the first 2.5, 3 months. So we haven't really had a full squad all year, right? So, maybe that's a good thing. This Braves team hasn't really gelled, and you can't just put it on injuries. I think some of this, not all of this, but some of this really can be attributed to maybe the loss of Wash. Again, not all of it. Not all of it. But Ron Washington is truly a unique individual. Okay? Truly a unique individual. Ron can say things to players and get them going. Ron motivates players. Ron has a way of communicating with players to get the most out of them. And there was a lot of that going on here. And now that Ron has gone, there's a void, right? Because guess what? If I'm Matt Tuciopo or whatever his name is, I don't have the currency to go up to an Ozzy Albies and say, "Hey, buddy, get your ass in gear. Let's go. Why didn't you do that? Why didn't you do that? This is a lack of." I don't have that, and not that you would have to say that to Ozzy. Ozzy's a captain on the team, but I don't necessarily. If I'm Matt Tuciopo or whatever his name is, I don't necessarily have the currency to go up to a Ronald Acuna, um, to go up to a Jared Kelnick, to go up to some of these players and necessary not chastise, but have a teachable moment with them because there's not that trust, right? Let's be real. Ron Washington was a manager who took the Texas Rangers to the World Series twice. Ron Washington built this Braves infield as we know it now. Built it. Okay. Ozzy trained him. Austin Riley trained him. Uh, Arcia trained him. Okay. So Ron Washington built this team. Now you take that out, right? And there's this missing component. And the only thing I can compare it to is I don't know, guys, if you've ever played a sport and you played with a guy that was like that fire, that was like the guy that got you riled up, that was like, hey, when it's time to get in your face, let's go. Let's get it. Let's go. Enough with the bullshit, T Will. Let's go, man. Run it out. Let's go. Let's do it. We're missing that guy, right? Don't get me wrong. You need your fair share of choir boys. All right. But you got to have some guys to get in that ass too. And we seem to be missing that now. Now, maybe with everything we've been through, maybe with the addition of Soler, right? Who to me seems to be quiet. I don't get rah-rah guy from Soler. Soler just goes out and plays, right? He does what he does. But you have to fill that void organically, right? Not saying the Braves won't fill it. I'm just saying that from afar, I'm not in the clubhouse. From afar, that's how it looks to me. That's how it looks to me. So again, we've been hitting home runs here lately. We haven't had anyone on base, but we have been hitting home runs. Um, that's a step in the right direction. Bullpen let us down last night. Doesn't happen that often. Chavez just didn't have his best stuff last night, and it happens. Unfortunately, it happens. Um, who followed Chavez? Darius Vines, which I'm not really sold on Darius Vines, especially not in a relief capacity. Darius Vines doesn't really throw hard. Everything he has is with a wiggle in it, and when I say with a wiggle in it, I mean changeup, slider, curveball, something that's not a fastball because his fastball is like 91, 92, which you know in today's standards is like 89, right? It's very hittable. And so guys like Vines and really guys like Chavez have to be perfect and on the corners. They can't throw it down the middle of the plate. Now, Chavez normally is pretty good. Normally Chavez, first of all, he's a smart pitcher. He pitches, he doesn't throw. And what I mean is his sequences, he sets you up, right? So if he throws up and in, two pitches later, it's going to be low and away, right? Or if he's up and away, a couple of pitches later, it may be down and away, but he sets you up, right? He's got guile. Chavez knows how to pitch. I'll give him that. You don't have to throw 100 miles an hour if you know how to pitch, if you know how to change speeds. And honestly, Chavez knows how to do that. He just had a bad night. Darius Vines, if we'd have traded him today, I would have been fine with it. No disrespect to him. I don't play the game, but from what I've seen of him, I just don't think he will ever amount to a major league player. He's a guy you call on in a pinch, right? He's that guy. Oh, we're playing a game. None of our pitchers are here. Can you pitch for us? Like he can pitch, but at a minimum, in my humble opinion, he's going to give up 4 or 5 runs, and you got to go get him after the second time that offense is seen. That's who he is right now. Could he change? Yes, absolutely. Right. I don't predict the future. I don't see the future, But for now, Darius Vines just does absolutely nothing for me. Okay. So I say that to say that should let you know how desperate the Braves are that we even have him up. Right. So, with that being said, when we start to get our guys back, I believe that Freed is throwing off of a mound, right? Which is, one of the final steps in coming back. So he's throwing. I don't think he's really pitched yet, but he is throwing off of the mound, so that's a good thing. And then Lopez is tentatively scheduled to start Saturday. Nah, I don't. I believe that when I see it. I don't necessarily believe that. Again, you say forearm. Forearm for a pitcher is like engine for a car. Think of it that way, right? Somebody tell you something's wrong with your engine, your heart's gonna race, right? You're gonna start looking for that warranty on that automobile. Hopefully you have one, right? That's what a forearm is for a pitcher. So they say he's tentatively scheduled to come back, but you don't know. I'm not saying that teams are not honest, but they don't always broadcast everything. And it's not that they're trying to be dishonest. They don't want the opposing team for the day that he's scheduled to pitch to know, oh, he's not pitching. Oh, they're going to have to do a bullpen game. So a lot of times it's strategy. It's not meant to deceive anybody. It's just, I don't want you to be able to plan ahead of time for me. Hopefully that makes sense. But anyway, all in all, again, pretty good trade deadline. I think the Braves did what they could. I certainly think they would have done more if they were not where they were financially. Um, so let me see if I can't bring that up for you guys in regards to where we are in the payroll. Okay. Let's see. All right. Sorry that took so long. Let's see if it comes up. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen with you. Share screen. And here we go. All right. So the Braves, as you can see, are fifth in payroll, right? They're at 236,619,551. I don't see where the thresholds are. Let me see if I can find that. MLB tax thresholds. Okay, so, I'm sorry. So it looks to be the competitive balance tax in Major League Baseball is a soft salary cap. The payroll threshold is 237 million US dollars, right? The Braves are literally at 236 million. So they are right at that threshold, literally right at it. Okay. And they obviously don't want to go over it because what that means is, let's say that my payroll is 236 million, or let's say it's 238 million. Well, now because I went over that threshold, it is 10% higher. Okay. And each level that you ascend to, that penalty is more. There are three thresholds. So that is another reason why the Braves were like, no, because they could have taken on salary, but again, they didn't want to do that. And you know what? I can't blame them. They're the They're the top 5 payroll in baseball. So it's not that they're not spending money, right? But you can't buy a championship, right? The highest payroll, the highest paid team this year is the Mets. The highest paid team last year was the Mets. They didn't win a World Series. The Yankees last year didn't win a World Series. Houston last year didn't win a World Series. Philadelphia last year did not win a World Series. The Dodgers last year did not win a World Series. The Cubs definitely. So just because you spend money, that doesn't mean that you're going to win a championship, right? Now, I agree. You do have to spend money, but it's more than money. You have to be strategic about where you allocate those resources. So, anyway, guys, I just thought I'd share that with you. Uh, that's pretty much the summary for the trade deadline. I don't have any other items to inform you. I thank you guys for joining me. Please like and subscribe. I am at For My ATL Sports 1 on YouTube. Please again like and subscribe, and tell your friends about it. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully it was informative, maybe a little entertaining. Like I say, I'm new at this. I'm having my own podcast. I'm working on it. Any suggestions that you have, I am open to it. And hey, I just thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate it. You guys have a great night. My shout outs tonight, first and foremost, I want to thank God because without him, none of this is possible. I want to thank you fans for joining me in this chat. I appreciate it. So thank you so much. Really enjoyed it. And hey, hopefully we can do this again. And last but not least, I got to thank some of my buddies. First and foremost, I got to thank Mr. Jack Spade, who gave me a chance in this business, who continues to speak into me, continues to support me, continues to develop me. I, as you know, am a member of the One Time for the Fan podcast, and Jack is the most supportive person in the world. I just love him to death. Don't tell him I said that, but or as he would say, pause. But I got to thank Jack. I got to thank A1. Again, another brother of mine. A1 is versatile. He can talk Braves, Hawks, Falcons, probably Atlanta United. Probably could talk hockey as well. But I got to thank A1 and Jarrett and Ernest, Chase, um, and Wallace. Hey man, thank you guys for joining me. Really appreciate it. Thank you for your time today, and you guys have a great one. Until next time, I will see you. Thanks, guys. Goodbye.